Monogam-ish contains content intended for mature audiences. The views expressed here are for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, Ishes.
How's it going?
Back.
I know.
I'm Justina.
And I'm Kenji.
And we're Monogam-ish. Today we have a special guest with us. We've actually met him before during our first season and then ran into him a couple weeks ago. And so they're back this week, and it's Michael and Bev. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
From the
thanks for
Ravens
having
Nest.
us.
Absolutely. So we always have you guys start with kind of from the beginning. So let us know if you're married, how long, and then what your sexual preferences are in terms of bi, straight, and open marriage or things like that.
Right. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I have been in the lifestyle almost 23 years now.
Oh, wow.
And even though that was a long time ago, that was a long journey to get there, which we can talk about. We haven't had a wedding, so I don't know if we're like, it kind of depends on whether or not we call ourselves married or not.
Depends on the audience.
Right.
Okay.
Insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
Who wants to know?
Yeah.
I'll give you the answer.
Yeah.
But it sounds
Actually, we are sort of,
We're
in some
common
ways,
law.
we're
Okay.
common law, but I didn't even know that till 2 years after it happened. So
Yeah, I set it up without him knowing.
Oh.
I didn't want to scare him off or anything.
Yeah,
I love it.
I would say, as far as sexuality goes, I'm mostly attracted to women. It's like my sexuality is the way I would describe it as multisexual. So what I mean by that is that all of the sexual fantasies and desires I've had since puberty have been involving more than one other person at a time.
Oh.
Okay.
So it's like very much by its very nature not monogamous.
Okay. Got it.
So it's like absolutely the core of my sexuality involves more than one other person.
Oh, wow. Okay. Multisexual. I like
Yeah,
that.
it was the best word I could come up with.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And Bev?
Yeah. So for me, I consider myself more kink oriented,
Okay.
submissive, definitely, and also multisexual. My preference is definitely one male, two female kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't actually answer. How long have you been together?
Since 2012, so that's 9 years. But
Ni-
we knew each other in the early 80s.
Yeah, we
We
met
met in our
w-
early 20s.
Oh,
very
wow.
early 20s. Yeah.
And then rekindled later.
Yeah, she found me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was living in San Diego. I had been there almost 10 years, and I had already decided to move back, and like a month before I moved back, she reached out to me and we connected and had coffee right after I moved here. And
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
Haven't
Love
been
it.
apart.
yeah,
One day since.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So
Yeah.
did you date when you first met? And then
No, he was dating my roommate and best friend in our 20s. So actually,
Oh,
she brought
okay.
him home one night and opened the door and introduced me, and I'm like, I just had this moment of like just some recognition of him, but he was with my
Mm-hmm.
best friend.
are
Yeah.
you still friends with her?
Well, we're connected. We're not like we were in our 20s for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Right.
she moved away, and we took our lives very different ways. She went very right-wing, born-again Christian, and I went
Wow.
very much a different way.
Not that. Not that.
I went spiritual, non-religious. That's
Right.
how I would describe it.
Yeah, and she's actually my son's mother. So,
Oh, wow.
Oh, so you ended up having a child with her.
yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And then you reconnected on Facebook of all
25 years later or
Yeah,
something
and
crazy.
we had energy between us back
From the
then.
second
In
we
fact,
met.
it kind of back in that world, it kind of caused a little issue. 'Cause we had
Oh,
such a-
Because
no
everybody
way.
could sense our connection.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it allowed us to become really good friends
Right.
during that time frame.
Uh-huh.
And then, and then we just went separate ways. And then,
And so he said you tracked him down. Oh.
Yeah.
well, and I wasn't meaning anything
Yeah,
about it.
right.
I was
Yeah.
I was actually looking for her on Facebook, got to her profile, and then saw him connected to her. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what Michael's up to. And so I pinged him and just said, hey. And at the time I was married and just kind of discovering my own sexuality around my kink orientation.
Okay.
Oh.
And that didn't really work in that marriage. So I ended up needing
Nope.
to leave that
Nice.
because I decided that being true to myself was more important than not
Mhm.
being able to be my true self and live in a marriage that didn't support that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So when you
Love it.
guys met, then you kind of were already open to this idea because at this point,
Well,
He's
You
already
were-
in the
yeah,
yeah,
you're
you're
lifestyle.
already in the
Yeah.
lifestyle.
I've been very much in the lifestyle. I had been for a long time. I helped run parties in San Diego. I'd been doing that for years. So
How'd you find it?
sometime in my 30s, I had always had a feeling that like the way we get taught to have intimacy and like the rules around it didn't make any sense to me. I did what I was supposed to. I got married when I was 19. I went to 8 years of Catholic school,
Oh wow.
raised by an alcoholic, angry father. So like that alcoholic child, Catholic based shame, all that. So it was like masturbating was like fucking let
Yeah.
alone like all these thoughts that are going on in my head
Right.
and all that. And so my first marriage, I remember telling my dad before I got married, I said, I'm not happy. He goes, they're not supposed to be happy. Just do the right thing. Like,
Stop it.
yeah. He goes, that comes later. Like,
Stop it.
Yeah, and,
oh my gosh.
and
So were your parents married for a long time?
no, my parents, they were married like 12, 13 years, something like that. But my dad's alcoholism is kind of what did that end.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they were way divorced by the time he was telling me the story about this, And
The happiness comes later
Right.
after we get divorced.
Right. Yeah,
You
I
have to
know.
wait to go through the divorce and
Right,
then you'll be
yeah,
happy.
Right, I know. It's so silly. And we weren't even 2 years married, and I was 21 years old, and my youngest sister, I'm the oldest of four, my youngest sister at age 13 got run over and killed by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh.
And my wife had her brother drown out at Chatfield at age 13 too,
Oh my gosh.
when she was like 15. And
wow.
she had never dealt with that, so she had an affair and left like within a month of
Oh,
my sister
wow.
dying. She was the only one who outside my family who I thought understood what I was going through. But I realized later she had never dealt with her grief, so she ran away from it. So like this whole idea about live for the future went out the window. And then I've been clean and sober for 31 years. So for
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So 6 years, for 6 years after my sister died, I just nosedived, just trying to deal with the grief and all that. But through all that, it was like I was still trying to find my sexuality, do that. Now, before I got sober, I didn't do it in the most healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But, and then even after I got sober, it was still like, this doesn't work. Like, I have these thoughts. I have this idea about connection being through acceptance instead of attachment. Instead of having rules, just accept somebody for exactly who they are.
Right.
Accept yourself, accept others for exactly who you are. Don't put all these rules and conditions and how this attachment has to be.
Thank you.
Up until I was in my mid 30s, every single person I ever talked to a person said, you're wrong. You just haven't met the right person. You have intimacy issues. You just like I was just told I was wrong.
It was always something. It wasn't. You're right.
The idea that like the lifestyle swinging was something that happened in the 70s was long gone. Like it didn't exist. And so finally somebody that I had been talking to, she was like, I can't stand to watch you in this much pain anymore. And so she took me to a lifestyle party for a New Year's Eve party. In 97 and for 96, 97. And it was like I found my people.
Wow.
I hear so many people say
Right?
that. I found
Yeah.
my people.
Yes.
Well, you go your whole life having everybody say what you're talking about is crazy and wrong and deranged and you just haven't grown up and all these
Right.
things. And then all of a sudden you're in a room full of people that every single person you talk to is like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Huh.
So yeah, it did have that feeling.
Oh,
So
man.
now flash forward, it's 2013. You moved
Yeah.
back to Colorado.
I moved back to Colorado.
How did you introduce the lifestyle to her?
Throwing her in the deep end very quickly.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
and strangely enough, too, I had decided before leaving my ex-husband that I would not be in a relationship with a male who didn't know his own sexuality. And I really kind of wrote off that it would ever even happen because I thought men don't openly share their interests with other people.
And
Right.
they put up a wall.
They put up a wall,
put
right?
on a
Because they're
mask.
taught to lie really young because what they're going through in their puberty or whatever of multi getting turned on by all these women, it's like beaten out of them.
Right.
But I also knew I just wouldn't do it. And it was interesting. The first time we got back together, I was telling him a story about how should I tell that story?
Yeah.
Okay. My ex, he had gone on away for a weekend and he butt dialed me right before he was seeing a hooker.
Stop.
So,
Oh,
Male, male or female hooker?
female.
Okay.
And so normally I would just, he said, hey, he called me and he said, hey, I'm going to dinner and I'm going to be out of cell phone range. So I'm calling you to say, can't talk the rest of the night. And then he turns around and butt dials me.
Oh,
And
my God.
for some reason, I normally would hang up. But
Uh-huh.
for this reason, something just told me, no, just try to get his attention. So I'm like waiting for him to order dinner.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't order dinner. Something else starts to happen completely. And so then I'm sucked into this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so then I stay on the phone and listen for 15, 20 minutes, long enough to hear what's going on.
Oh, no
So
way.
did you hear him talk to her? Did he
Yeah.
open up to her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which he had never done with you.
Well,
No.
no.
Oh,
No.
wow.
I got Boy Scout. I
Yeah.
got the Boy Scout.
Because
Yeah,
that's the
he
right
was
thing to do.
Right.
You got to
Right.
do the right thing.
He was
Had you-
like, I'm not like other guys. I'm not like this. I'm not. And it was really clear in the way he interacted that like he was experienced at it too. So
I was just going to ask.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah,
this
like,
wasn't his first time.
No,
This wasn't it.
No.
Oh,
no,
my
no.
God.
This was going on. And then all of a sudden, all these pieces of our whole relationship kind of fell into place.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to hear
And
that.
little-
Oh, no, it was
Wow.
okay.
Yeah,
It was
well,
liberating.
Yeah.
It was
Little
totally
had he
liberating.
known if he had just had a conversation with you,
yeah.
Right?
you guys could have both been on the same page
Right.
and had your cake and eat it too.
Right. Because what happened to
Communication.
me after that, not only did I was upset, of course, because he wasn't open with me.
You were
Mhm.
hurt.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I also was turned on like crazy. And he was gone for that whole weekend and shut off his phone and things like that. But I was so turned on. I played with myself, I don't know, 60 times or something over the weekend.
Oh,
I was just
wow.
constantly getting myself off because it turned me on so much to hear him with another woman.
Oh.
And then we tried to work it out.
Did
And
you
it didn't.
know that would happen?
No. God,
You
no.
had no idea
This
that
is
that
what
would turn
kinda
you on.
Opened me up to my own.
Mhm.
Oh, well, all my fantasies are about my partner with another woman.
Oh.
So,
Oh,
that was
so-
a huge turn on to me, but I had always
Suppressed it.
suppressed it because I didn't think it was okay.
right.
So
Oh,
I
man.
had suppressed that part of me. And so, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little
no,
bit
no,
here.
no.
Don't
But
you worry about it.
The thing is when she was telling me the story, it was like 8 months after it happened. So there was
Oh, so
still
it's
some
fresh.
emotion. There was still some emotion to it.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when she told me the story, she was telling it to me. And of course I had some, I'm really sorry to hear that. But one of the biggest things I said first, and I was like sitting there thinking, this is the first time we've got together after all these years. She's
Right.
telling me the story about her husband. It's clearly raw, emotional thing.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking, she might slap you when you say this. And I said, I feel like as a male, being sexually exclusive is abhorrently unnatural to the very makeup of who we are. The very DNA of how we're made up as males is not sexually exclusive. And
Just to
I
get
was
out
like,
there and spread your seed.
yes.
yeah, I thought she might slap
you
me.
think-
No, I was
Do you
like,
think
oh
that's
my
unique
God.
to just males?
No, I don't.
Okay, so as a species, you believe?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm super sensitive to not saying what it's like to be female
Mhm.
because I'm not.
right.
I don't think history shows that monogamy is the way humans are. Otherwise,
Right.
you wouldn't have to make all these rules about it.
Right.
You know what I
Thank you.
mean?
And it's not.
Right.
Thank you.
And
Right.
for some people it is, but for the wrong reasons. Like
Well-
there's such a notion that jealousy and possessiveness in a relationship are needed. Like
Yeah.
eh,
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Or the fact that you're like, well, I couldn't do that because I would get jealous. It's like, well, that's an insecurity. So you're not going to do something because of an insecurity. Like that's making a fear-based decision about something. It's like letting that be the end of the story.
Exactly.
It's like, how can you grow? That's like saying, it's like, I want to work out and get stronger, but you know, it's going to sweat and hurt, so I'll just sit on the couch. Like it doesn't make any sense to me to make that be the decision maker, you know, about that.
So when you had found out about the prostitute, were you already separated? Were you
No, we were together.
You were together at
We
this
were
point.
together.
Okay.
And it led me down the path of really understanding my own sexuality. And then I did try to work it out with my husband, but it wasn't working. And so I became clear, like I'm not going to live another day of my life without being true to who I am. And if I'm never in a relationship again, that's all fine. And I won't be in a relationship with a man that doesn't understand his own sexuality. So actually, when he said that, I'm like, fuck, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right.
And it instantly made me trust him and feel safe with him, because I didn't feel like he would ever like try to take care of my feelings by not being true to who he was.
Right.
Right. So,
and I truly believe if you don't love yourself fully, you can't love anybody else.
No, as a matter of fact, it's even along a scale. It's like to the degree that you love and accept yourself is the degree that you can love and accept somebody else, or even receive that from somebody. If you don't love yourself, you can't receive it from anybody because you don't believe it's true. So, so you can't give it or receive it, or it's along a spectrum. So you cannot accept or convey more love than you have for yourself.
So then your marriage ended. Now, prior to that, had you ever explored non-monogamy?
No.
Never. Okay.
No, didn't know about the lifestyle, knew nothing of it.
Did you, I'm sorry, did you and your husband experience like any kink stuff together or anything? No. It was just all pure vanilla for your whole entire...
After that event,
yes,
we did start to play a little on the kink side.
Okay.
Very light touches with that, but yeah, that was a very short period, because the time that happened to when I left was probably 8 or 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh man, wow! What your husband didn't get to find out. Oh my gosh!
So you dove in head first. Did you start throwing parties here in Colorado
well,
right away?
Actually, that was her idea, but I had been a part, still a lot of friends in San Diego, and I was a part of throwing parties that we did every 2 weeks. The first introduction to it was taking her to San Diego and throwing her into a party.
Oh, wow.
And there was a little bit of, for me, it's like I've been doing it for so long, and it's like, hey, I introduced her. She seemed comfortable with people and stuff like that. But it was like there was a little bit of me not being aware of, like, hey, wait, this is her first time. Like, this is the first thing.
And
so,
how far into you guys reconnecting again was this, or dating again?
A
month.
Oh,
yes.
wow. So it was very quick.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you were so open with each other, and the honesty
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
Killer communication.
Well, so I'm really big. Like it's been a long journey, and even after I found the lifestyle, I had this thing where I still didn't really accept it in myself. And so I played this game that I see played so often, where it's like, hey, I just want you to know about this side of me, about this thing. And of course, if they weren't open to it, it's like I wouldn't even engage. But if they were, like, if they'd be like, yeah, that sounds interesting. I see what you're saying about being open and honest. Because to me, it's like being able to share with her who turns me on. That's an act of intimacy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because it's sharing what's real.
Right.
Right. So it's like, so if I talked about that and they'd be open to it, then I'd say, okay, well, no rush. We don't have to do it too fast. Let's get to know each other. Let's build the relationships. Let's do this. And then when the time came to like start to open up to that, it'd be like I'd run into walls, because it'd be like, oh, well, it was okay, but now I'm in love with you and it freaks me out and it does this and it does that. So, and I feel I manifested that because I didn't actually accept it myself. So I was looking for someone to accept what I was trying to explore.
Oh, wow.
And so when I got to the point, I had a big psychic change happen in 2003. Same kind of thing of like, I don't care if I spend the rest of my life alone masturbating. I'm not going to not be me.
Right.
What was it? Were you coming out of a relationship
Yeah,
with it?
It was in some ways a very relationship that had a lot of companionship and friendship, like I'd had, but it sexually it wasn't honest. It wasn't open about who I was. It was trying to compartmentalize it still.
Oh man.
And it just like I went through a period of like 5 months where I couldn't sleep at all.
Oh wow.
I had just serious insomnia for like 5 months, and it was like I had to look at it.
Like stressed about this relationship?
Well,
or what?
I didn't really get it at the time. All I
Mhm.
knew is I couldn't sleep, which is not being able to sleep is,
Horrible.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
tired
right.
all the time.
Right.
You want to fall asleep in the afternoon when you're working, but then soon as like 10, 11 o'clock at night, boom, wide awake.
Right.
You know, and so just looked at it. So yeah, I had to get out of that relationship. I'm still friends with her, but I had to get out of that relationship because it just wasn't honest. Even with this coming the ways in the lifestyle and things, I still didn't really accept who I was, and I still was a people pleaser. I still tried to modify my behavior to try to make it fit and do things, and I just had a place where it's like, I'm gonna be who I am.
Right.
And
Okay.
so it's like, since then, it's like, this is who I am. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds great. It's like, well, there's a party this weekend. What do you think? Let's go check it out. Like, you know, it's like, let's find out.
Right.
Is that when you started throwing parties, or is that when you got into the lifestyle?
Well, so actually, right after that relationship is when I moved to San Diego
Okay.
and got connected with people in the lifestyle and really built a really strong lifestyle relationship with a bunch of people there.
It's a community.
Yeah,
We say
it
it
is.
all the
Well,
time.
in all the years that I've been doing this, if I had to, I've had some, I could tell you kinky stories on top of kinky stories, all sorts of fun things. But if I had to single down to the single concept that's been the greatest thing about the lifestyle to me, it's been the friendships.
Oh, 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Because everybody's
Yep.
open and honest.
Open and
way
Mhm.
more.
honest,
So,
and even the people that you're not intimate with.
yep, exactly.
You know, you become very, very close friends with them.
Yep.
And just
It-
because you're like-minded and you can be yourself in front of them and you don't have to hide any part of who you are.
Well,
Right.
and being sexual is not, sex is just a form of communication, so you can be very
Right.
intimate whether it's sexual or not.
Right.
And so yeah, it creates a different, I mean, it's like when I catch myself in vanilla situations, I'm like, oh wait, no, you can't say that. You
You
can't,
gotta
like
take
you
a
have to
step back,
you have to
huh?
hold back, and that I find
Oh.
that super uncomfortable.
Oh, it's
honestly.
so hard.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Up top on that one.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's so
Yeah.
it's so difficult, you know.
Yeah.
So he threw you, Bev, right into the deep end. You show up at this party, and what was your first reaction?
I was excited to go,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, yeah.
it was a fun experience. I'm naturally kind of shy,
Okay.
but there were some friends that are close friends of ours that had gone with us, and so I felt comfortable hanging with them. It was real turn on to watch him because I think he had like 5 women all over him at once, like one sitting on his face and one sitting on his cock, and he's
wow.
fingering 2 at the same time, you know.
Oh, wow.
And somebody playing with his feet.
So
and
you
I'm
went
like,
all in on the first party.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. And I was watching. I wasn't engaged,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but I mean I was engaged in the sense that I was really watching, but I wasn't playing myself. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was cool. It had some. I mean, it was a little uncomfortable, and there were some
Mhm.
things for me to walk through. But
Right.
you know, I
As is with
I
the
still
first time.
remember it very well. Like I was nervous about what do I wear and how do I,
Right.
Everything.
how do I
Yeah.
do this,
Yeah.
and
And then
we
you
were
get there and you realize you can wear anything you want or nothing at all.
right.
And
This is
everybody's gonna
great.
accept you.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's a big awareness. Like I remember the first party I went to, everything about it, everything goes down. So like our Raven's Nest parties have always been super sensitive to that because there's a whole bunch of people that's their first time, and it's like they're gonna remember everything about this.
Mhm.
So it's really big to us to like create a
Safe space.
safety.
The
And
environment.
that's
Oh,
important.
I love
Because
it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people freak out because they think, oh, if I go to one of these parties or just the act of me showing up means I have to participate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or
And
you're getting
that's-
thrown in the deep end.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Or I'm going to feel uncomfortable or out of place. And
Yeah.
that's not the case. I try to explain to newbies all the time that this is still your choice, and more so in this environment than
Totally.
any other place.
Yeah, it's safer in a bar. You could walk down the street to. Like,
right.
Thank you.
And we're really big on that. And so we give a tour to people. If it's our first time, we talk to them about it and be like, if you ever feel unsafe, you let us know. First of all, you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are going to help you. And it's like there's
That's right.
there's two rules. It's like, do what you want and don't do what you don't want. It's just that simple, you know. And so we're really big because you remember that so much. And I want to make a distinction about something, because an awareness I had was like, I had thrown her in, just thought, well, she's met our friends. It's just like we're going to a party, and just like some social party. And to me, it was so old hat. That's like, oh wait, this is brand new for her. Like
Right.
this is like brand new stuff. And the distinction I want to make, because like one thing you're bringing up is well, let me give you a story. I used to go to a meet and greet in San Diego that was at a vanilla bar, but we like all met in the back.
Okay.
And there was like this local hangout bar, and like on Fridays we'd be in the back. And I rode my motorcycle there, and I was leaving one night, and it was like raining, so I was putting on my leathers and, you know, getting packed up. And there was another guy on a motorcycle leaving, and another guy on a motorcycle pulled up, and they knew each other, and they were part of the regular crowd. And they said, how's the night been in there? He goes, oh, it's pretty good. You know, the swingers were there, but it was okay. And I'm just like, kind of like, you know, kind of like ducking my head, like, do I say anything? I'm just going to get ready. And then all of a sudden one of them goes, wait a minute, aren't you with them? And I'm like,
Oh, fuck. Here we
yeah,
go.
I go, yeah, I am. So then they ask the questions, and here's where the questions went around it to just bring to the point you had, is in their mind, the only distinction was you either try to do the monogamy, committed relationship, dating, the relationship escalator, you know, it's like follow that, or you have no discretion whatsoever.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's
There's
just,
no in between.
yeah, it's just like, I don't know if I want to just, you know, fuck everybody. It's like, well, why would you not have that choice?
Right.
But you
Thank
know,
you.
Exactly.
and so
you can say no.
right. It's like,
It's
it's
okay.
like there's not just these two.
It's not just
thing.
indiscriminate.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And so I had a discussion with them about that. But the distinction I want to make right now is between caring and being sensitive and open to what's going on for someone that you're close with, versus modifying your behavior so that they won't feel it.
Right.
Okay, because that's the thing that I watch happen over and over again, is this sense of like, oh, well, they're uncomfortable, so I won't do that until they are. I won't, you know, it's like they don't want me, like they get jealous, so I won't do anything until we can make it okay. But the problem is you start modifying your behavior. First, it's not being true to yourself.
Right.
And two, it doesn't get easier over time. Like if you don't walk through it,
Right.
it's like the next time, and if their insecurity flares up, and then you modify your behavior, that's the pattern that gets set with that.
Right.
And so it's like, for me to do what I do at parties, or date who I date, or go through I do, it's like I'm really big on like, if there's insecurities that are coming up about it, it's like I'm not going to modify my behavior to try to help with that. But that doesn't mean, because then I get people that are saying, well, then you're just like, fuck you, deal with it. It's like, and I'm like, no, I still care, and I'll still listen, and I still like the feelings that come up. And it's like I started being aware of like, oh, right, this is new to her. This is big.
Right.
It's like, so I should be aware of that, and let's talk about it before. Let's create, you would in a kink environment, you talk about rules, safety, like, and I want to be careful about, I have a thing about no rules. No rules, no rules. That doesn't mean that you don't have communication. Doesn't
Right.
mean that you don't have caring. Doesn't mean that it's not sensitive to being aware of what's going on. So
And loving and supportive.
right,
Right.
right. And so it's like it was so old hat to me. It was like, oh wait, this is new, so I've got to be aware. Doesn't mean that I'm going to start doing different things.
Right.
It just means that how I show up, how I communicate, how I work through that. So I'm just more aware and more open to.
And I love, one of the key things that we always talk about on this show is that each individual relationship can be unique. And a lot of times we'll suggest to newbies, hey, if you guys aren't in a good place, this isn't something to come fix your relationship.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
you should
yeah.
have a good foundation. What you guys determine that foundation is totally up to you.
Right.
It could be a month in, you're ready to go full storm and we're getting on a plane and we're going to this party. Or it could take, a year or two for you guys to get on the same page.
Or 20,
Right.
we've heard.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
You know?
and that's true. I mean, sometimes there's quite a few people that we've met in the lifestyle that really didn't feel like they had the time when it was just them and they were raising kids. And now
Right.
the kids are out of the house and they're exploring this and they're like, let's do
go.
this.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't even know we were into it. And so I love how you can go at your own pace no matter what the situation is, and that the key is communication.
Yeah.
Well, the key too, I think the underneath key is that each individual is also being true to themselves.
Right.
That's right.
Like for me, it's like I can't be in a 20-year relationship and be monogamous till it's okay. Like that's not who I am. It's not
Right.
true. It's not real.
Right.
So it's like that whole thing with me with fierce love is it's not about sexual choices or anything. It's like there's a certain percentage of population that is asexual,
Mhm.
right? It's like
Right.
it's not about what your choices are. It's just about being true to who you are.
So what is
Mhm.
fierce love?
Fierce love is a term I came up with, and it started when I first started writing about this, because this is my biggest passion in the whole world. When I first started writing about it, the thing I had, in fact, I still have this website registered. I started calling it monogamy disorder and started going down this hack, how monogamy is a disorder, how blah, blah, blah. Okay, not exactly a productive way of communicating, right?
Right.
So then I went to I started doing a thing that I called radical intimacy. But it was really focused on relationships and all that. And fierce love is just something that we did. We had once a month groups that we explored different topics of this for about 3 years up until COVID hit.
Okay.
We tried to do some virtually.
Like a therapy type
Yeah,
group?
no, it was more. We would get together. We would start with a meditation, and then I would introduce the topic, and then we would open it up to the group for some discussion, and then we would count off and break into small groups of 3 or 4, and have each person in that group do what's called a monologue, where they would just talk for 5 minutes about whatever came up with them around that topic, and each person would take turns
Okay.
with that.
Oh, that's
Then we'd come
very
back
interesting.
together in the big group and talk about what came up
Oh,
in
wow.
that. And
Oh, I love it. That it gives everybody, a chance to voice their opinion,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drop all the, walls and
Yeah,
masks and
and-
everything,
and
and
yep,
talk
exactly.
and be open about that.
Right. And the whole concept of it is it's got to be to like what you were talking about. It's got to be a personal relationship. Like it's not something you can just focus on relationship with another person or people. You've got to be aware of we have a relationship with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the nature of the relationship we have with ourselves is what ripples out into every relationship we have. And so it was focused on that, but then it's also in the realm of intimate connections with people, whatever that is. It's like, I guess the best way I can put it is I'm offering the possibility that the map we've been given of how to do that from a process standpoint doesn't work. Whatever content anybody chooses is of course valid. But the idea that it's like how you get intimacy is you sacrifice who you are for the good of the relationship, and then you'll end up in this magic nirvana of intimacy somehow. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Through the right attachment and the right compromise and the right sacrifice. It's like when you compromise who you are, all you get is compromised who you are. Like
Mhm.
Right.
it's like, so it comes from more of being true to who you are. If you're lovingly committed to your true self, then it creates an avenue where you have a sense of commitment to somebody else's true self. So to love somebody, to me, and we use the term fierce love, but to love somebody to me means that I accept you exactly the way you are right now, this moment, and what I care about is whatever is in your best path, your passions, your desires, your growth, regardless of how it affects me.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
it's based on accepting you and being supportive to whatever your path is, whatever your expansion is, and not being in relation. Well, what does that mean about me? Wait, it's like, and so to create that. And so topics we'd have is things like the whole distinction between acceptance and attachment. And I like the more attachment you have, the less acceptance, the less closeness you have. Not that we don't have attachments. We're human. It happens. It just, attachment gets pushed as the right holy grail for how we connect. And I would offer it's actually acceptance.
Right.
And self-acceptance and the acceptance of others, which naturally flows. If you completely, not that any of us reach this place, but if you completely love and accept yourself, you can't have judgment towards someone else. It's always a projection. And so that the fact of like, a big one for me too is like no rules. Because if I'm putting a rule on you saying, I need you not to do this because I'm insecure and do that, then I need you not to be you so that I'm not afraid. Like, so it's like for instance, monogamy, it's like, if you want to be monogamous, great.
Right.
That's awesome. But the second you say, I need you to be monogamous so that I can be close to you, now you're putting an attachment.
Right.
Now you're putting a rule. So I've got a list of things of like topics that are those kinds of things of just trying to challenge the idea of how the map we've been given of how intimacy looks.
And you're writing a book.
Yes,
Yep.
I was just going to add. And that's what, that's how you're putting everything in your book. Is
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'll buy it.
Trying to communicate. Thank you. Really focused on, because it's like working with the groups and stuff. What we ran into a lot of, and was some really great stuff, great conversations and stuff. But what I keep running into is there's a sense that like, let me use the metaphor of saying that what we've been told as a way to have relationships is like an internal combustion motor, right?
Okay.
It's like, that's that. And what I'm talking about is like a complete reworking. I'm talking about an electric car.
Right.
There's no pistons, there's no gas, there's nothing to explode. And it's like, so you got to like get rid of that, start with a new foundation, build from that. And what I found is, as we did these talks, is most people like were trying to modify their internal combustion motor to, and it's just like, no, it's a completely different foundation.
Right.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's a completely different acceptance-based, unconditionally acceptance, growing, loving thing. It's an expansive experience, not a narrowing one. It's not like this whole idea that there's me and you and there's a separate entity called a relationship that we've got to play service to. No, there's just two people.
Right.
And so the real motivation for the book, and as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this. And I've written so much stuff, and I'm just trying to put it together in a book to try to create the whole concept.
Is the title Fierce Love?
Yep.
Okay.
Have you written anything else about like the lifestyle? Or is this going to be your first book into it?
Well, yeah, I've written. I wrote a book called Life Now that was more the ultimate self-help book. I needed to write it because then I read it and went, okay, this really helps me.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Right, because self-help books are just help books, right? It's like, so no, I've done tons of writing, and there's, but this is the first time I'm really focused on like I'm gonna put together a book to put out there and.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Try to really get that communication. And,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, Bev, now you flashed forward, you came to Denver. Was it your idea to start throwing parties here?
Yep.
It was.
Okay.
I woke up one morning, I had a dream, and I woke up and I told Michael, I said, I just had a dream we were throwing sex parties in our basement. And he said, awesome.
Yeah.
I said,
what else you gonna say?
I said.
And then a month later, we threw our first Raven's Nest party. I mean, I literally that week started ordering beds and
Oh, it's so much work.
getting everything
right?
set up.
Man, yes, yeah, we've been to
the
quite a
sheets,
few.
the towels, it takes you a whole entire day to set up for one of those parties.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does. We're going from all day early Saturday through Sunday night when we have a party on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well worth it though. But yeah, it's I had all the stuff ordered and delivered, and
I learned something about Bev with that I found out since then. 'Cause this was fairly early in our relationship,
It
right?
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
And I mean, we had bought the house. It was right after we bought the house, she said, you know, I had a dream about the parties. And I'm like, well, I know how to throw those. I've done that, right? Okay. Now, my way of doing things, and this is why we make a really good team, honestly.
We do.
I could see.
And so what I didn't get, like when she says, I think we should throw parties, I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So I thought we would probably spend a few months like planning it, thinking how we're going to do it, how we do that. 2 days later, she calls me from IKEA. I've ordered all the furniture for downstairs. It's getting delivered on Friday.
Oh,
wow.
yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, we better do it because that's a lot of money. So we got to like jump in and like make it happen.
Right.
So yeah, there's several things that like when we go to do something, it's like when the idea happens, Bev just like, okay,
On it, right?
I-
just
Uh-huh.
throws it. And then
Head first.
and then my way is like, okay, now.
God, we got to be all technical.
Now,
and fucking
yeah,
plan it out, huh?
now we got to work it out. Now
yeah.
it's like we got to market this. We got to get on cat. We got like so. Then but it forces me to not overplan it. It's just like it's more on the fly and
So do
like-
you do themes?
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, so you
I
got to figure out
love
a
it.
theme as
Theme
well as
and-
the setup.
Yeah.
At first, I thought, why the themes? Why do we need the themes? I don't want to do the themes. They're so hard to come up with and seem a little silly. But then I quickly realized how important they are
Oh,
because
it's-
it
Yes.
gives people, you know, just a fun thing to focus on and how they can dress and how they,
Right.
you know, it just it makes it so much more.
It takes that edge off.
Yeah,
oh,
you
it's
know,
one
does.
of
it
my
does.
favorite things.
It does.
I know
It
my
is.
wife.
I love to do, you know, put on the costumes or the
Right.
wigs or what am I going to be this week and what's the theme and what's the like what
Right.
and I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
It
it's
makes it
like
fun.
Halloween, you know, every weekend for us.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So then I got over my initial like rejection of the themes and embraced them.
Oh,
and
awesome.
then they became a thing for me to think about
Right.
and
Oh,
you know, and
yeah.
I'd ask people at parties like, what do you think about themes? What do you know, and I'd try to just take input in from people and but that's a fun part of it.
Oh, that is so
There's
awesome.
a little bit of a balance because there's some people that they get really into the themes, really do that. It's definitely important.
Oh,
On
yeah.
the flip side, you don't want people not to come
Right.
because of a theme or feeling pressure, especially new people. So we
Right.
try to walk that balance. Like you
yeah,
don't
it's
need-
always an optional thing.
Well,
Right.
and this is the thing. If we don't like the theme, we just wear what we're gonna wear that
Right.
night.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
always
I'm like,
okay.
I didn't plan for that, or I don't
Yeah,
have
I
anything
don't have
that goes
anything.
that.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it might be a last minute thing, and I'm like, oh, we're still gonna go, and we're still. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're like, oh, it's a black and white party. Oh, well, we're wearing red.
Oh.
Right,
Yeah,
I
that
love it.
You know
Yes,
what I
yeah,
mean?
that is.
Like sometimes we just purposely go off theme.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
It makes it fun. And like you said, it's something to look forward to, and I love planning. We always match, so our outfits.
Do
and-
ya?
Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So then you had a huge setback. Well, not setback, but you had to take a big break from it with COVID.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
hold on. You guys were you were throwing parties though for 5 years,
5
right?
years. Yeah.
Like consistently every month.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
were great. They
Oh.
were absolutely great. We always had a group that was consistent that would always show up. We always had new people come and then people that were more intermittent.
It was kind of a third, a third, a third. So we had
Yeah.
people that were really super regular.
Yeah.
And then we always had like a third that was like brand new.
Yeah.
For so many people, first time ever
first by
experience.
style party.
Yeah, but
Or in it like experience probably, huh?
yeah.
I
And,
love
but
it.
people,
Cool.
definitely people that were new to us, a lot of people that were just new to anything. And then we had a group of people that they would show up maybe 3 times a year or something like that. So
Mhm.
it was just kind of a mix of that all the
man.
time.
And the way you guys talking about, setting up the environment. Oh God, I'm sure the
Yeah.
first time newbies are like, oh, is this how it always is? I'm coming back, or
Yeah.
I love it, or
Well,
as
I
opposed
really
to some
tried to
different
think
places.
through every detail about what an environment I would want to make it safe for me to
Feel
get naked,
Mhm.
play, or not. You
Right.
know, right? So spaces where it's just like any other
That's right.
get together, right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
So I really tried to think through the different spaces and
She's
the
really-
environments.
Oh,
She's
God,
really
I
good
love
at
it.
that. Even with our house, like when we remodeled our house, I'm the one that can take care of like the electrical and the plumbing and the structure and the
Man
beams and all the things, and she's the one that like has the sense of style and taste and like, you know, the decoration and just like
The
pulls it
energy
all.
of a
Yeah.
place.
Energy, yeah, she's a master at it.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
So
that's
both
awesome.
in that and in creating the parties.
I love it.
And our parties too, we have upstairs. I mean, we have a couple play places, but upstairs is a lot of just like socializing, hanging out.
Mhm.
It's okay to just hang out downstairs too, but it just creates a super safe place to kind of come just hang out at first if you want. I mean, the house is 3,600 square feet, but it's not like the ranch or huge where, so
It's intimate.
it's intimate. It's like a big open kitchen, living room. Everybody at first just hangs out up there. And so there's not anybody like off in the corner. In fact, if I see somebody off in the corner, I make a point of like introducing them, doing something. So it's
Oh,
like, don't ever want a single person coming to one of our parties that they like didn't talk to somebody, didn't meet.
Right.
And
Felt
I've had that
uncomfortable.
happen in big clubs. I've had that happen
Right?
Right.
Oh,
where you
there's
spent the whole night and you didn't talk to anybody.
there's a shit ton of that at the ranch.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
There
And
is.
yeah, I see that quite a bit.
Right.
You know, almost every night that we go.
And
Yeah.
it,
Right.
well,
So-
it can be intimidating there. There's a lot of people, and
Right.
And
And a lot of
especially-
them know each other. and,
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
especially post COVID, or even during COVID, you know, when those restrictions were lifted, there was not very many places for people to go. So there was a big influx of new people, and I
Right.
don't know that they all necessarily knew what they were coming to or understood a lot of a lot about it, and so
Right.
they clam up a little bit, and it's
Right.
like, with that many people, it can be intimidating. And then
Yeah.
maybe showing up on a theme night, not realizing there's a theme, and
Right. Right.
You're completely
Or
Right.
off.
just
Yeah.
naturally introverted. Like I'm a natural introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael's great at, making sure everybody's included and making sure people are connecting, but I'm pretty shy. So
Right.
I don't do that part of it really well. But
Okay.
he
Uh,
does.
Okay.
I'll be real honest. It's actually I'm more comfortable hosting a party than I am going to a party because
Oh,
I know what my
really?
role is. It's like I know how to show up. I know because I'm a bit naturally introverted too, although that's shifted over time. But it's like, and I bartended when I was in college learning IT stuff. I bartended, and it's like no one wants an introverted bartender, right?
Oh, fuck.
So it was like I would go on stage and be like, okay, I know my role. Speak first, make people feel welcome, how to do that. So it's like between the parties in San Diego doing that, it's like I was the guy at the door, I was the thing, and hosting the parties we do, it's like I know what to do. I know
Right.
how to act. I'm here to make people feel welcome and doing that. But like in between, I went from being super active in San Diego. I came to Denver and Bev and I connected, and it was like we went to parties and it's like I didn't know a soul. I don't know how
shit.
to act. I was like found myself being a wallflower. Like I was like I don't know how to act.
Right.
Now, were the scenes different, like in San Diego and from here?
No, it was. I mean, there are some amazing things that are different between Colorado and San Diego that are kind of like, even though there's some similarities, there's some fundamental different cultures
Right.
between Southern California and Colorado or Denver, and it was true in the lifestyle too. But it wasn't that. It was that I was used to being the guy everyone knew.
Right.
I was used to
Oh,
being connected.
wow.
It was like, oh, no one knows me here. It was a big shift. Like I had my thing on Cassidy for a long time, but I never used my Cassidy profile because I just knew everyone in San Diego.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So we came here, and when we first would connect with people, and they're like, oh, what's your screen name? And, most people are like, in it for fun or too fun for, like, it's always some kind of thing. And ours is Raven. And it was like, it was every single time it was the same thing. It's like, what's your screen name? And you'd go, Raven. And they'd wait for more. They'd go, what? Raven. Oh, okay. Like, and so every time. And then after we threw the parties, it was like, what's your screen name? And it'd be like, Raven. Oh, you're Raven, because they'd seen the party.
Awesome.
So, yeah, throwing the parties was just a way, honestly, for me, definitely to just be like, okay, now I'm more comfortable in Denver because I'm doing a role I know how to do.
Right.
Okay.
So your parties are not open to the public, and you can find them on Cassidy.
Cassidy, yeah.
And so now you guys are finally getting ready after 17 months to have your first one next
Oh,
month.
yeah.
August
Yeah, I'm
28th.
excited.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the theme?
Well, okay. it's social intimacy, and it's playing
Oh.
off of social distancing.
I love that.
Oh.
It's his
Yeah.
idea.
Oh,
Well-
that's a good.
well-
That's a great theme.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you like something to wear necessarily,
Uh-huh.
but it's
Sexy
it's
pandemic
playing off
gear.
the.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sexy pandemic.
I think that's what I think that's what I wrote in the invite. Wear your sexiest pandemic.
This
Yeah.
is where those net face masks will really come in.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. Well, the theme came because, right away we had people saying, when are you going to throw a party? When are you going to throw a
Oh,
party?
I'm sure, right?
Okay. We're not down in Scarlet Ranch area where you can get away with it. We're living in a neighborhood. The idea of social distancing cannot exist. We can't even pretend. Our house, when you're upstairs and people are all coming in, it's like, that's the whole point. It's like,
You're close
Intimate.
together.
Yes.
we're
Right.
close together. And so I said, we can't have a party until the theme's social intimacy. Like, it just, like, we can't even pretend,
Right.
you
Until
know?
it's safe too, because
Right,
it is.
right.
This is very intimate. It's not
Right,
like we're
right.
going there to.
So
right.
that's
and
what-
we need to be respectful of our neighbors,
Right.
of not having a whole bunch of people, in the
In the
neighborhood.
neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, even
So we waited
even
for
even
while.
before like May or June of this year, if we'd have thrown a party with 100 people showing up,
Oh, God.
they'd
that
have
would've-
flipped
Yeah,
out.
right?
Right. No, absolutely.
yeah.
So
But now things are changing. It's over. So August
28th.
28th. Perfect.
Yep.
I
Mhm.
know.
So here in Denver, check out Raven's Nest on Cassidy.
Mhm.
Well, you guys, I can't thank you enough for coming to share your story. I love, like I said, how you guys you just paved your own way. You
That's
guys
right.
came back together after meeting on Facebook and said, this is what we're going to do, and supported each other. And here you are all these years later
yeah.
Yeah.
having fun with it. And I
Yeah.
love it. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. We can't.
I know.
Express
Oh, thanks so
gratitude
much for
enough.
having us.
But yes,
Yeah,
thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much.
can't believe it's been an hour already.
I
It
know.
flew
It's
by.
actually been well over that.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow.
Well, right? Are we good, Drew? 57. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
I was a little off, but we're right there. We
Yeah.
can't, again, thank you enough for coming.
Yeah, thanks for
so
having us.
much. And we can't wait to see to attend one
Oh,
of your
yeah,
parties.
we're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're going.
Well,
we're going.
And you guys are on the VIP list.
Oh, you
so-
better
Oh,
stop it,
thank
Mike.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Seriously.
Well,
I love it.
again, we appreciate you guys coming, sharing your story, being really honest and vulnerable, and letting people understand that there's multiple ways that you can have a relationship and that you can reconnect and really find the person that allows you to be you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And
you
let
guys.
us know when your book comes out. We'll
Oh, yeah.
definitely promote it on,
Okay.
on
Yes.
all of our websites, and you
That-
can check it out.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
put a link for on our
Appreciate that.
Monogam-ish page. So
Yep.
we always try to support anybody that's, and spreading love, fierce love. Come
Right.
on, our
Right.
motto is love, love,
Right.
love.
Right.
Mhm.
So thank you guys for coming.
Yeah,
We
thanks.
appreciate you. Cheers, and
Cheers.
here's
Mike,
to
Bev.
many more times of getting to socialize and hear all the things that you're up to in the future.
Yeah,
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Ishes, you know where to find us: Spotify,
Oh, yeah.
iHeartRadio,
iHeartRadio,
subscribe. This is our
iTunes.
last episode of this season, so we
Is
took
it?
a mini season break,
Oh, yeah, hey.
and this is the last episode of our season. So
Oh,
thank
wow.
you guys for coming. We'll be back in September, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us.
I know.
Have a great day. Bye, Ishes.